when we're talking about the government, China has a social credit system, and I believe this administration, the Democratic Party, wants us to have a social credit system, and it's starting with this Fed Now BS that I believe goes into effect next week. But their credit system is a national credit rating and blacklist being developed by the government of the People's Republic of China. A social credit initiative calls for the establishment of a record system so that businesses, individuals, and government institutions can be tracked and evaluated for trustworthiness. There are multiple different forms of social credit system being experimented with, while the national regulatory method is based on blacklisting and whitelisting. The program is mainly focused on businesses and is very fragmented, contrary to the popular misconceptions that it is mainly focused on individuals and is mostly a centralized system. Anybody want a request to come up, do so, because we're only going to be up here for the next 30 minutes.
Dana, I want to respond to that directly. I'm in my nonprofit grad school class, right? And we're talking about some of the policies that they put after Enron. And one of the things I noticed when I was observing this policy and law is like Sibley something. I have to Google it real quick or pull it up when I get a chance. But long and short of it, it actually it targets the autonomy. So like, for example, if they feel like a business and a corporation is not trustworthy or whatever, they'll attack the autonomy of an organization and or a nonprofit. That's alarming for me as a Negro business, nonprofit. The government can just frame me and then take my intellectual property. That's something I have to be alarmed about and scared about, or build up a defense against. That's just my response towards what I'm hearing, based off of already policies that are on the books that they can use against people who run these type of organizations and nonprofits. You get what I'm saying?
Kind of. Judge, do you want to speak to that? To the social credit system? And is it coming this way?
Here's what is going on. The social credit system for China would be a business that says boys compete with boys in sports, girls compete with girls in sports. They'd get commended and boosted. Under the American system, as I anticipated would go, if the business says, no, boys should compete with boys and girls against girls, and I don't care whether the boy says he thinks he ought to be wearing a bra or not, he is what he was born as, and that's how he competes, then that would be a negative. So one for the People's Republic of China is a positive, and the exact same thing for the American system, as this administration would probably run it, would be a negative. So it's kind of enforcement of worldviews. Now, in January 2 years ago, the People's Republic of China instituted an official Man Up program. Russia has already instituted a Man Up program, while the United States is attempting to implement the exact opposite. So somewhere in the next few decades, there's going to be a clash wherein the product of those policies is going to be tested. Who's going to prevail on the world scene? Will the United States maintain its paramount position in world affairs and in world economics and science? Or will they be replaced by the People's Republic of China, like the U.S. was replaced on the world scene? Not replaced, but as the U.S. replaced Great Britain on the world scene. See, these things are long-term social experiments. And what you have is the Chinese government, in one sense, is reinforcing one worldview, and the U.S. is attempting to introduce similar statutes that will most likely to be used to support the antithesis or the exact opposite when it comes to worldview. Now, what about the rest of us who have to endure a government push for a sociological situation that doesn't quite match the birds and the bees of Boys and Girls 101 A and B. Now, that's where we go.
Sister Dana, I put the name of the policy in your in Jumbotron, and not in the Jumbotron, but in your inbox.
Okay.
And it was the result of Enron because they wanted to restore trust in the public and yada yada yada. And I feel like this is an extension of that. That's the reason why I was bringing up that policy, and because it was a $74 billion worth of damage to American people. So that was the reason why I brought all that up.
Okay. All right. So, like I said, right about now, we got 20, 25 minutes.
Let me say that, son, I'm very impressed by your acumen and looking into such matters. All right. Okay, I said I'm very impressed, son, with your diligence in looking into such matters and your attention to civic concerns. Thank you.
Yeah, and we all should. All right, so one more thing, and like I said, anybody want to request to come up to talk about what we talked about throughout this Twitter space, please do so now, because it will be ending in 20-25 minutes. So please request to come up. Like I said, support Judge Joe Brown. The Cash App information's in the Jumbotron, $ Judge Joe Brown 2023. Go to the website, jjb2023.com. Micheal Jackson, right? Excuse me. Micheal Jackson, we spoke about this earlier. Micheal Jackson accusers suing the King of Pop's corporation. Despite Micheal Jackson dying more than a decade ago, alleged victims of his sexual abuse are still seeking legal closure. On Monday, a panel of judges from California Court of Appeal tentatively ruled that Wade Robson and James Safechuck have a case against MJJ Productions Inc., the King of Pop's corporation, claiming that staff who worked for the company were partially responsible for covering up the alleged sexual abuse, according to the Los Angeles Times. If the names of Robson and Safechuck sound familiar, that's because they were part of the HBO documentary Leaving Netherland, two-part documentary, and I believe Oprah Winfrey was the one narrating that or executive produced that or something. So it was a 35-page ruling. If made final, will potentially lead to trials in cases that have dragged on for years. Robson and Safechuck were each suing Micheal Jackson Corporation separately, but the ruling suggests their cases will be combined when they go to trial. Jackson's company lawyers argued the company had no legal duty to protect Robson or anyone else from Jackson because it had no ability to control him. I'm trying to think what damages they're looking for.
Okay, that's about an accurate statement of the law. The corporation had no ability to control. They had no duty to protect. They had no ability to protect. They just happen to be a third party. Next thing is you have another problem here. Perhaps I can explain it this way. What they're talking about is a tort. And the tort results in personal injury, either psychological or physical. The tort also may be something absolutely insulting. In either instance, the objective is to give the good citizen a bribe so he or she does not take matters in their own hands and go hurt somebody. So they are interested in pursuing an action against the corporation. Well, how long ago did this occur? Now, it's interesting. California and a lot of other states have some interesting statutes of limitations when it comes to torts. In other words, doing somebody wrong. Okay, you can walk up and slap somebody across the face with a glove, challenge them to a duel, walk up and punch them in the face. That's in a tort that results from a battery. Now, if that's the case, depending upon your state, you have 1 year to 2 years to bring an action. If you walked up and hit somebody with a baseball bat, and you broke their jaw, knocked out 8 or 9 teeth, and caused lifetime sinus problems, you got a 1 or 2 year statute of limitations. Now, the way it reads in California, you walk up and pinch somebody on the behind and they get insulted, they have an unlimited statute of limitations for a booty pinch, a rub, a squeeze, that kind of thing, versus knocking many teeth out of somebody's upper and lower jaw with a baseball bat. So somewhere in here, there has to be a regrounding of California and all other law in what they call common sense. So the spirit of the law and the letter of the law match. The spirit of the law is to discourage people from taking matters in their own hands by giving them money damages, a bribe. Now, do you want to get into this? I discussed with you something else to give you an idea of the ramifications. With Mr. Cosby, they're after him. But now let's consider something else. Let's say we've got a 61, 68, 69-year-old man. He's married. He's got grandchildren. And somebody who is beginning to suffer from old age dementia remembers a date they went on. He doesn't even remember a name. 16 years old, and they were sitting in the parking lot of a drive-in, and he and she were doing heavy petting in the back seat of the car. Do you want to open it up so she can sue him when both of them are approaching 70 for something that happened when they were in the 11th grade? That might not have been viewed as anything particularly offensive at the time. See, that's what you're opening the statute of limitations up does in terms of miscarrying what American justice is all about. Statute of limitations are such that when somebody says, "Oh, I'm nervous. What am I going to do if somebody goes after me?" Whew, the statute is passed. I can get on with my life. If it wasn't offensive enough for somebody to proceed within the statute, then that's it. Move on with your life. Quit trying to hold a grudge. But you see, when they do this, they open the door for some of the worst aspects of human nature to manifest. Now, that's California, but we'll see what happens.
Right. So, in other words, it's more like, whether you're a woman or a man, if someone is doing harm to you, don't sit on it for 20, 30, 50 years. Speak up. Sometimes it may sound insensitive. Well, that happened so long ago, but like you just laid it out, you opening up that statute of limitation to make it unlimited, it can cause a serious problem. And why are you not speaking out when things are happening? And women may say, I did and I wasn't believed. That is also a problem. So I'm not going to downplay that women in general, and men, but men never speak out. But that people, are sexually assaulted or whatever under that umbrella, and they are not believed, or for so long, depending on where you live, that nothing happened. And I think the laws are improving somewhat, but again, there's so much that needs to be changed. But women and men, but especially men, need to speak up if someone has done harm to you. How can you sit on something for 20 plus years and then come out and say, it traumatized me all my life? Well, you got married, you had kids, and it's always someone attached to somebody famous. They never highlight, a regular citizen. Those are the ones that are really being harmed, and no justice is being made. So yeah, Commander, you had your hand up. And anybody else want to come up, please do so now, because we're about to wrap it up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to give a quick response before I head out. I got to help out one of my peeps. But one of the things I want to that I'm observing is just the unearthing and the destruction of a Black Negro legacy. You know, I think we should be very sensitive about our images while we're here on this planet, and even after we leave off this planet. And our bloodline and our community should be in support of defending our legacies while we transcend and be ancestors. I find it a little bit of a disservice that we're not advocating for Micheal a little bit harder, you know, stomping a little bit harder for that brother. Especially since we know that FBI and all alphabet people were monitoring that brother. They were monitoring that brother. There's government documentation.
Well, we're not saying that he's innocent. I'm not saying that he's innocent. So why would we be stomping for Micheal? He's dead, and we don't know if he did it or not. He probably did do it.
We don't know if he did or didn't. And I think then when I look at the other people and their heroes, they actually did it, and their people still support them. This might be unethical, you know. But what I'm getting.
Let me direct you to something. There's a video out there, and the video you want to look at is it's raining, and Micheal Jackson is standing under a black umbrella. He's saying something. Now, that was subject to being introduced. It was offered during one of the trials. The court had a hearing on it. It was played, and the judge ruled that the jury could not hear it. I've read a transcript. It was interesting how I read that. One of my tenants on a property I had in California was the senior court reporter for the district, and she asked me, a retired judge, to help her proofread it. So the transcript of what was on that tape was very clear to read, and I would direct you to what he said. And if I can paraphrase it, basically he said, there is nothing wrong with a grown man being naked in bed with a naked 10-year-old if all he's doing is showing the child love.
Oh, I don't co-sign that. I dig where I'm gonna do some more digging on that.
Yeah,
but thank you for enlightening me on that.
I read the transcript. So you are in this business of law enforcement, and there is a difference between it got done, but you can't prove it without breaking all kinds of rules that are very important rules. And I really didn't do it at all. Okay. Let's just say, take a look at it. And also, since I was involved with Hollywood at the time, I'll say this. Did you ever hear the term androgynous used to refer to Micheal Jackson?
Yes.
No. Quasi, like a lot of those guys in that time frame.
Yeah, but they used it specifically to refer to him. Well, in the hallways of Hollywood, where I was with Paramount and then CBS at the time, there was a great deal of discussion about this is a great idea, and I didn't get it then, to develop so-called fluid gender because Micheal Jackson was androgynous. So there was a great deal of support for him in the industry because he would condition the American public to thinking of gender as being fluid. That was what they talked about. I heard it over and over again. Now, that was in cocktail hour at a 5-star hotel in their upscale bar sitting on leather couches. Or that was in the hallways on coffee break, or just taking a break from waiting on somebody to show up. Now, I'm not being judgmental. That's just a discussion. So just keep all this in mind, okay?
Thank you for enlightening me, and thank you for even pointing me to the right direction. That's very important. So salute and thank you as always, man.
Welcome, proud of you. Go ahead.
All right, so we're gonna start to wrap it up. Guys, please go and support Judge Joe Brown for Mayor of Memphis, Tennessee. Cash App is $ Judge Joe Brown 2023. I am big. You're requesting to come up now. Are you requesting to come up now because I said I'm about to wrap it up, even though I told people 20-30 minutes ago to request to come up? Can you make it quick? I don't want to deal with CPT time today. Go ahead, I am big.
Hey, good day, Dana. Good day, Judge.
Yes,
Hi.
sir.
Yeah, how you guys doing today? I was just giving a insight to a couple of things real quick. Like Corey Feldman on The View, Barbara Walters was interviewing him, and she asked him about a couple of things like with Michael. He said, "No way," He told him nothing like that. They know each other for years. Corey Feldman, Macaulay Culkin. They all both stated these things. Big boys for years in the industry stated that Michael never did nothing to them, whatever. So whatever. And but on that show, Corey Feldman said, "Well, Barbara Walters, this director touched me in Hollywood. This actor, and she told him, 'Shut your mouth. How dare you destroy those men's life in Hollywood? How you better watch your mouth, Corey.'" That was this white lady did on TV live. You could punch it up on The View with Corey Feldman. You'll see that this guy, you can follow Corey Feldman right now. He's talked about many other actors and directors in the industry. Right? We know that they came after Michael because of his money power and his influence around the world. They're making statues in Japan right now with Michael Jackson, all these things, right? We have to remember these things in our society as a whole, as a people, to remember what they're doing to Bill Cosby, because those brothers are trying to buy out. Michael Jackson owned the Beatles catalog. They say he's broke on national TV. Said this man is broke. He's bankrupt, this and that. How dare you? And the man has Elvis catalog. He has Beatles catalogs. So how can he be broke? And he has his own catalog. He owns everything. He owns half of Sony at the time, and this and that. So we have to remember these things as a black community for me. Please, people, enjoy the day, guys. Enjoy the day.
Well, my response to that is perhaps, and you make some very good points, but read between the lines and see what else was being done. It's very important. And once you realize it, well, I'll let you go do that homework if you choose to do it. Anyway.
All right.
Point.
Thank you everybody for tuning in. Again, Judge Joe Brown for mayor. Cash App, $ Judge Joe Brown 2023. Website, jjb2023.com. Donate. Sign up to the website. So Judge, please close us out. Closing remarks.
Okay, closing remarks. Emulate some of what we've heard today, where people actually took the time not to look up a basketball score, football statistic, or baseball batting average, but went to see what the game of life had out there for us and went and looked. Very good. I like that kind of thing. We need to start digging into stuff. And I would say this: very, very, very little that is put to us as a positive by mainstream media is in fact a positive once you dig into it. So just beware, be very suspect of everything that some is attempting to advocate through mainstream media. Generally these days, frankly, my personal opinion, you'd be better off if you did the opposite of what mainstream media tried to get you to do or approve of. Now, with that said, enjoy your week. This is Tuesday. You got a way to go. Earn your paycheck. Be careful on the way home and enlighten yourself and move on up in the world.
Bye, everybody. Have a good week.
Ciao.
Don't judge him, Joe Brown.